Mm. Oh. Touch the cow. Do it now. I'm gonna put that on USB. Hello. Welcome to a Z Reviews. I am your host, Zeospantera, and that is your wallpaper for the evening. It's a Tatsumaki on a exercise shaft. So, JDSlabs sends me the Element 3. They sent me every element, and this is the newest and the best. And before we start talking about that, if you're a patron and subscriber, please don't forget on February 14th through the 20th, $401 off the 8XX, which we'll be talking about pretty much throughout this, because that, with this, So, checked it out. Check out the Cont pads, which are also on drop, unironically. And let's get back to the show. If you're interested in sponsoring this channel, by the way, feel free to reach out. I prefer brands and companies that are not audio related, like, oh, fucking Mark Riboulet did the Handy, which is a masturbator machine. Mark Riboulet, the Loop Daddy, was sponsored a stream by the Handy. I won't link it. You can look it up. So I would love to get like hot sauce people or food people or drinks. Great. Anyway, now that we're done talking about sponsorships that don't exist, although I would really like maybe Otaku mode. Let's talk about this. Third Revision. If you don't know the history of JDSlabs, American company, makes things in America. In fact, I was told that if I film this review now, which I am filming it now, you don't know when now is then, but then they said if you film it now, it's probably going to be delayed because they are getting all the parts anodized, and the anodizers in America, and if you get things done in America, things take time. So this might be out of stock if you're watching this live. No, probably won't be out of stock if you're watching it live. If we're out of stock if you're watching it at Patreon, then everyone bought one. So $450, that automatically means some of you are leaving, some of you are staying. You're either interested or not interested. For an American made, which is a big deal, because there's a few, we're going to get to that, and there's a couple other, dotted throughout my channel. There's a few really well-made American products, which, by the way, did you know my viewership in America is down to 45%? Most of my stuff's, well, Canada counts, I guess. It's kind of like pseudo-America. Canada, UK, Germany. Germans, a lot of Germans. I love pretzels. Let's hang out. So this, we've kind of been waiting for the next generation of JDSlabs stuff, because they're a small company. They only come out with things like once a year, and they actually have a couple things coming out this year. I'm going to mildly spoiler alert. There is a new stack coming, but just like this, that is not a balanced outputting, but it does have balanced connections between the two. So shh, don't tell anyone I said that. We don't know when that's getting actually officially released, but it should be in 2022. And this unit, when I got it, I was kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that it would be a 4.4 Pentacon on the front next to the 1/4 inch, and it's not. So that has given me the inspiration to pull out all the headphones that are single-ended 1/4 inch. Like the Hemps here. Oh, another little bump, because I'm going to sort of like start combining things. I got so much to do. I really should be doing 3 videos a day, but I do a video every other day because I want to maintain my sanity. And the Cont, besides making amazing pads for this, has pads for Grado now. In fact, 3 different types of pads for Grado. I think they're almost ready for like coming out. This will be on Patreon maybe before that. But we've got the solid sheepskin, the fenestrated sheepskin, and then the full velour. And on the Hemps, I want to tell you one thing. Get the full velour. This sort of makes it a little bit brighter, a little more push of the detail forward. And it's like, all right, maybe on a different headphone besides the Hemps. And this turns them into fucking bass cannons and muffled. And like, I actually started playing with the back with my hand, like trying to make them close back. Beautiful pads though. And I will be trying these on other headphones that can fit. Also, I have to get a set of KPH 30s. I have a set right over there, and see if I can make these work on those. But for now, let's put this back on and enjoy some fucking music. So, what have they improved on the Element 3? Everything. Basically everything. And it's weird because it doesn't look very different except for the fact that there's now a screen, an OLED screen here. It still has just the 1/4 inch in front. The bottom is still just plastic with rubber feet. And the back looks very similar to what it was previously. Why do wires suck? I tucked it under because I was OCD about it. So the back of the unit, which we should do the tour. Zeos, don't forget timestamps. She always forgets timestamps when she's watching this. Full-size USB, which I would have dragged my laptop down here so I could do the USB and the fiber optic, because it has USB and fiber optic on the Element 3. I don't know if the Element 2 had that, but this does. There is RCA outputs, which are preamps, which we can, if I do this, and then I do this, let me wait for those speakers to wake up. Hello? Ah, there we go. So there's that. There's your power button. There's your power input, which is a giant... Where are you? That power adapter is there, which is a 16-volt AC 1000 milliamp. Change songs for a second. So that's it. That's the tour of the unit. You got a 1/4 inch output in the front. It's just a hole through this beautiful aluminum case that you plug into. You got a knob on top, which is digital this time, and a button you can press, which we'll get to what that does in a second. And the rear is a 16-volt DC power. Pre-out. Optical. RCA. USB. So, not much visibly changing, but everything changing. So, how do I begin this? Where do I start? 1.3 watts of power out the front at 15. Hold on, I'm trying to remember specs. 32 ohms, 1.3 watts of power. Pretty decent. This is an expensive unit. It's a combo unit. I accept anything over a watt as your maximum power, and it's not like 8 ohms or something stupid that no headphone is. That's fine. At 600 ohms, 146 milliwatts. I do have the DT880 600 ohms here, and I have tried them on this, and they do function. But we do have to get close to the maximum. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. There's a lot of interesting things. You are not interested in this unit yet. Wait till we get into it. All right, let's get into it. So, if you don't know why I usually like this, I like the company, like the people, they're great guys. The unit itself is unique in that it is strange as fuck. Like, you can't just put this along the line. Like, this is the WA11 Topaz, which is a portable DAC amp. And I love the way this thing sounds. It's like $1,100 for this. And it's designed to be literally dragged around in your pocket and USB only. I asked Jack Wu, by the way, hey, are you making one of these that's Bluetooth? And he's like, no, that's not on the horizon. And I'm like, God damn it! Fuck! Because I would love a giant, stupid WA11 Topaz with Bluetooth built into it. So this is unusual to be on my desk. But I use it anyway. This is designed to be on a desk. And it's designed to be on a desk right here. Like, you're supposed to see it. I added the cowgirl sticker, the anime cowgirl sticker, because it was just a black box, and I like a little bit of flair on my stuff. And in fact, if I could recommend to JDSlabs, which I may do in an email after this video, they have a perfect, canvas here. Stickers aren't expensive. It doesn't have to be an anime cowgirl, which I'm sure the people who are selling stickers on Amazon are not getting permission from the artists and everything. They're just stealing artwork and putting it on there. So I'm going to try to fix that with my new merch store. By the way, new merch store coming. Hold on. I'll actually commission artists to do like circles and then anime waifus. Because these are, I feel bad. Because I know the artist who drew these is not getting a fucking penny. And I'd rather pay the man or woman and then sell it legitimately. But JDSlabs should sell just round stickers, just beautiful, a vinyl disc, just the JDSlabs logo, something cool to stick on that, because it's kind of lackluster looking without it. But then it also makes up for that by being this beautiful. It dominates the desk. I've got the K9 Pro, I got the Musician Andromeda, I've got the Geshelli Arkle, which the wood sort of makes that stand out. But all these devices, all just sort of like, they just tuck away neatly into things, and this sort of fucking says, I'm taking over your fucking desk, and you're gonna touch me with your hand. You're gonna massage me like thing. Like DJs have that, like, it's like a turntable. It's like something you have to interact with. I want to adjust the volume. On all these other equipment, I just want to set the volume and sort of leave it alone. This makes me want to fiddle it. It's a fucking $450 fidget spinner that makes my music happen. So, pressing the encoder down switches inputs. So it goes from either SPDIF to USB. So if I'm pressing it and there's no USB, it's basically mute. So you turn it, you could see the, I'm gonna have to take the camera off my head to actually get up to this screen so you could actually see it. But that's its function. It is still very smooth, very touchable. I want to spin it. And now that I could spin it infinitely, like you don't touch the side, you can do this. And we'll get to what the encoder options are because they're pretty amazing. In fact, any device that uses a digital volume knob, this is now the fucking benchmark. If benchmark amps use digital volume knobs, benchmark, this is your benchmark. So I sort of spin it with the fingertip on top. And you notice I'm spinning a lot. I'm spinning a lot to raise and lower the volume. We can fix that. If you don't want to do that, this unit, and is the first unit I've ever seen, has encoder settings to set not only the step from 0.5 decibel to 1 decibel, but the encoder speed from full to half. So I have it on the slowest possible volume adjustment, where it does 0.5 decibel increments, half as fast when you rotate it, then you can have it set. And we got to get to the high-low gain, and we got to get to the actual hold this down and get to the menu. So, all right, I'm taking the camera off my head. How does it sound? Wait, all right, before we do this, before we get distracted by the build and the features, let's actually talk about how it sounds for like a minute. This is like a 45-minute long video, or I'm gonna estimate it 36 minutes long. And there's gonna be a 1-minute blurb about how it sounds. Because how it sounds on everything I've plugged into it, including IEMs, is perfect. It has no discernible flaws. It's not too sterile, it's not too warm. It doesn't fuck with it. You are using the internal DAC, which normally I would be like, I don't know about internal DACs. It's like I had questions about the K9 Pro's internal DAC. Because FIO, known a little bit more for their amps and their DACs, and I'm like, do I trust it? But fucking JDSlabs. Let's take a walk for a second. If you look in the front of my home theater, which this is, hi, welcome to this. You see those orange circles right here? You see those? Those are JDSlabs Element 2 DACs. And I have 2 of them because my front of my home theater is fucking psychotic. And each DAC represents each heresy and then the sub, and it all comes off of that JDS. So I trust JDSlabs DACs enough to make them my main DACs for my main front of my main home theater. Fuck you. There needs to be more of that and more Danny DeVito. So I trust JDSlabs to make DACs. In fact, when we did, excuse my nose, when we did RMAF back in when did we do RMAF? 18, 19? It feels like 500 years ago. When we did RMAF, I literally reached out to JDSlabs and said, hey, you, Pachuco, send me a stack of DACs. And every speaker that was powered at RMAF, at our room, at the Hi-Fi Guides room, was coming through a JDSlabs Element DAC. In fact, those 2 I think were there. Or maybe those were 1s. I forget if the 2 was even out. But there was just 4 of them, and 4 crown amps. I went 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, and everything went to a thing, and I had the remote control to switch to the mini DSP, and it was fantastic. So I am not concerned about the DAC in this. And now that I know, with the little birdies telling me that there's going to be a balanced version of that DAC, oh fuck. There's going to be a balanced version of that DAC, and I have crown amps in front. I can get I'm upgrading my front of my theater is getting an upgrade. I'm going to beg JDSlabs. Anyway, so I don't even remember where I was. I took a walk. We were talking about sound. How does it sound? I trust the DAC in this to be absolutely as high-end as you ever fucking need to be. And I'm sure when the new EL3 DAC comes out, I'll trust that. You can't fuck up a DAC unless you actually fuck up a DAC. And it like has spikes in voltage or there's noise and interference. You can't fuck it up. So I trust that. So now what I'm dealing with now is listening to the amplification of this, because I trust the DAC, ignore the DAC. The best part about being an audiophile at this sort of level, you have all this shit, is as long as you have a DAC, and I have several here, that I trust, the Musician Pegasus, which is R2R, the Loxi D50, the Topping D90, the Topping D30 Pro, all these DACs, I just trust them. I don't concern myself with them. I put them down on the floor, and it's like they do. I got a whole bunch of JDSlabs DACs. 3 of them. This $5,000 tube amp, JDSlabs DAC. Just because JDSlabs sent me 3 of them, so I'm like, I got it. Because those have balanced outputs, this has balanced inputs. Now that JDSlabs is coming out in the future with a balanced one, I keep mentioning it, even though it's just going to make it like a thing, but I'm like, I'm excited. I'm excited for this shit. So now we look at the amplification, and Hemps are not hard to drive. I have the Elites. I have the Empyrean Elites here. They're not hard to drive. In fact, in their review, I said that, it doesn't really matter what you're using, just whatever. The 8XX kind of have a little bit more concern about what you're driving them with, but it isn't as bad. God damn it. The Dunu adapter is so nice, but it's so short. You'll notice I am using a balanced adapter, and I want to kind of, I think one of the reasons I want a balanced version like this with a 4.4 is not just because I'm like, oh, I think balance is better. At this point in 2022, I'll basically, well, this doesn't have it and I complained. This does have it. This does have it. Has it, doesn't have it, has it, doesn't have it, has it. 4.4 Pentacon should be like the standard. I'm done with 1/4 inch. Honestly, the full size XLR shit, like this is fine, but it doesn't need to be there. This was old school, and I think we're done with it. We should just go to 4.4. So one of the things I would like, we're still talking about sound. I don't know how we're getting around it, but we're getting there. Like 4.4 is my favorite connector because it can give you balance. It's not too much bigger than 3.5. It fits on portable devices. It fits on portable devices. Like, well, which one didn't have a port on it and I was pissed. But maybe JDSlabs should offer, maybe on their site, one of these adapters, which is a 1/4 inch to 4.4. I'll link this Yukamu, which makes amazingly nice adapters. This one's a Yukamu too. And I'm using this, obviously, because I want to use, right now, if I pull out my favorite IEMs or I pull out my favorite headphones, odds are it's got a 4.4. So having to adapt every one of them to work in this unit, kind of a bummer. So, I mean, SMSL has done it, and I understand why you wouldn't want to do it, but SMSL and stuff have added balanced connections. In fact, wait, this X2O, the TH, I think there was a T10, TA10 had a balanced output, but it wasn't balanced. It was just there for convenience sake. They literally put a 4-pin, because I know rich asshole audiophiles all want their expensive 4-pin XLRs, and they're not going to deprive you of that. In fact, also the Flux Audio, like it looks like a balanced amp, but it's not. It just has the connector for convenience sake. And I would almost be okay with JDSlabs just adding one just for the convenience of it, because I've got this beautiful fucking wire that, it was sent to me by Meze, and oh my god, it's so nice. And now I got to use an adapter on it, which they should either include or sell. I mean, these Yukamu adapter was like $12, $15, I don't know, $12. I wouldn't spend that much on an adapter. But ignoring that, 1/4 inch output into an adapter, into the much nicer than the stock cable for the 8XX. This is the flow cable from Apos. Put this on. We are on SPDIF. We are at -51 decibels. Brave little toaster, worthless, by the way. All right, I got to take the camera off my head again because I got to show you what happens, because this is important and you need to see it up close. So if it sounds weird, I apologize. I'm going to try to keep this where it is. So here is our display that you can see. See it going down, see the cow, touch it now, touch the cow, and spin it round, and we go up and up and up. Now, when we get, actually, hold on. There we go. I moved it to narrow field of view. How does that look? All right, so now that you could see things, I'll have to hold this perfectly still, but you can see the numbers change as I rotate. And you can see at the bottom, if you can read that, it says headphone output at low gain. So you took the tour with me. Where's the high gain on this? Well, like many amps I think should implement, there's no button. You simply take it, and I'm going to unplug this because these headphones don't 100% need high gain. But you go, and when that reaches 0, that bar starts forming. See that bar? And underneath it, it now says set high gain, question mark. And when you go past this sort of buffer zone, click. And now we're in high gain, which is above 0. And it says at high gain at the bottom. That's fan-fucking-tastic. Then you go back, set low gain. Click. Just Design of the Year awards all around, please. Please send to JDSlabs. And then it goes up to 13.5 decibels. Now, it says PCM at 48 hertz on top. It's on USB because it shouldn't say PCM at 48 hertz because there's literally no USB plugged in, so I don't know what it's reading. But you get the point. If I press this, boom, now it says SPDIF. Since the camera's off my head, let's touch the cow. Hold. Boom. This is really tiny. This is super small, and it won't even focus for this goddamn video. And I apologize. Maybe eventually I'll get a real camera for these sorts of things. But this is the Element 3 menu, and it scrolls. And it's kind of like weirdly futuristic in how tiny it is and helpful. So it says Element 3, and I'll read the ones that I'm going through right now. Screen timeout, screen contrast, LED mode, encoder resolution, encoder steps, second harmonic comp, and then third harmonic comp, and then SPDIF De-emphasis, and then DPLL bandwidth, and then DAC filter, and then status, and then factory reset, and then exit, which I shouldn't have exited because we're going to go through it. Now, these options, these settings, are what make this 10 times better than the previous version. Because I love the Element 1, and I love the Element 2 for sound and power. They're just on the line. Which, oh, speaking about just on the line, before I forget, I'm going to plug these back in for a second. Oh god, one-handed is tough. Things are taut here. You can hear Brave Little Toaster playing. And the problem, and this is the problem I found. Is that song ending? That song is ending. How's my house look in narrow field of view now that you're here? This is weird. This is an odd feeling. I'm sure I sound weird because I'm literally behind the camera and everything could be weird. But I immediately loved the fact that it went high gain when you went past 0. But then I hooked up the 8XX. And this is the only headphone of the 7 or 8 that I've hooked up to this unit that does this. That's a very loud song, so it won't be a problem with this. But if we go to a quieter song, something a little, yeah, some Tool or Penny Dreadful. There you go. There's a nice quiet song that's just gonna roll really silently throughout. It's a great wallpaper download in the description. Well, what that means is I need to make it louder and louder and louder, and it's like it's almost there. Okay, now it's there, and now it's good. But the problem is that song is gonna change, and I'm gonna have to lower this, and I'm gonna have to lower it past the high gain click. Which is not so bad. I mean, it's like, it's just weird that this particular headphone sits right at the line between where it needs high gain for some tracks and low gain for others. Every other headphone, DT880s live above high gain. The Elites live in low gain. These live in low gain. They never even get close to it. So it just happens to live where that has to transition, and that could be annoying. Speaking of transitioning, let's see how many spins the cow needs to get all the way down to negative 127.5. That was a lot of spins. Holding this down now, which takes about a second, half a second longer than I'd like. So we're gonna go, all right, real quick, all the settings. Scream timeout. Can you figure out what that is? The options are never, 2 second, 3 second, all the way up to 120 seconds. And I said never. and then you hit it, and then it says save or cancel, and you hit save, like an old school RPG. Then you go screen contrast, and it can be medium or high or low. I'm going to put it on high because we're doing a review, and hit save. And it says updates in real time, LED mode. So there's an LED ring around here, which has always been the indicator of power. Now there's a screen and that, so you could have either or. So LED mode is either on, 5-minute standby, or with screen. So if you're a really true audiophile that wants to live in complete darkness, which, by the way, if you ever listen to music in complete darkness, it's an amazing experience. We should all try it. So I can have it come on with the screen, which in this case would be always, because this never shuts off, or just turn on for 5 minutes after standby, or just stay on all the time, which is fine with me, and hit save. Now, encoder resolution and encoder steps are probably the biggest things about this that I fucking love. Encoder resolution has choices of half or full. Half means when I spin it, if I spin it one rotation, instead of it going up 20, it only goes up 10. So it's much more, and here's the thing, they're digital steps, but I don't notice them. There's never like a jump. It is one of the smoothest digital volume knobs. And having it on full, which means faster, and then you go down to encoder steps, which choose either half decibel or 1 decibel. So if we go to 1 decibel and full resolution, and then we got to go down to the bottom to exit. So now we're at 127 below zero. Put the screen on so I can see this. Let's see how many times we have to rotate the pretty hentai cow to get up to 0. 30, 20, past 0, and it's blasting. Much faster. Now we could literally adjust that in 2 ways. We could do the encoder speed to half and keep it 1 decibel jumps. Or we can make the encoder steps to full and do it half decibel jumps. So you actually can do probably, you can just change the shape of how you adjust the volume. Either you want it to ramp up really quickly, or you want it to ramp up really slowly, or you want it to require more rotations or require less rotations. So you could actually tune negative 127 to 0 can happen that fast. Or what I probably like the most is resolution to half, and then keep it on full, on half, save, exit. So now it's twice as long, twice as many rotations, but full decibel jumps. You'd have to have very sensitive headphones that you want to just control like very minute adjustments of the volume to go half decibel. 1 decibel is plenty fine, and you just have twice as many rotations to adjust it. That sort of adjustment in a digital knob is fucking great. Switching that to USB so I actually mute the music. Going back to the thing, there's 2 other settings in here, which you probably heard me say. There's SPDIF De-emphasis, which just has on and off. And according to the website, which exists on the internet, that will enable or disable the thing that de-emphasizes SPDIF, and they don't explain it any further. I've tried it on, I've tried it off. I can't tell a difference. I'm going to leave it on since I am using SPDIF connections, and if it doesn't hurt the sound, maybe it's helping it subconsciously. So now we move to, and I have to keep going back into this, which means I have to touch the cow. Do it now. Anything else I need to talk about? DAC filter, we know what that is. Minimum phase, slow roll-off, fast roll-off. That's the only 3 options. Minimum phase is fine. DPLL bandwidth can go from 0 up to 15. It defaults to 7. 5 is usually good. I actually was stretching it down to 3. Which we have to double check, make sure the sounds work. So I did have an issue where I cranked that all the way down to 0, and then it just stopped making sound. And I couldn't figure out what the hell the problem was. I had to factory reset it, but it was that. DPLL bandwidth. I talked about it like 2 years ago, and it's got to do with a jitter reduction formula. And with SPDIF, you kind of want to worry about that a little bit, like if the timing isn't right. And so the lower it is, the less compatible, but the more accurate. So I've lowered it to 3 since I'm a badass, and we'll see if that still works just fine. It will escape the menu on its own, by the way. So I really want to get out of that, out of DPL, out of SPDIF De-emphasis, and I want to get to these 2. If you can't read them because they're real fucking, they're you see my finger? They're real small. I can read them fine with my eyes, but the camera is just not going to have it. There are 2 settings here. 2nd harmonic comp and 3rd harmonic comp. Now, we're going to switch back over to staring at my screen for a second. And we're going to actually go to the manual, which is here. And we're going to scroll down because, where does it say? Second harmonic steps, default 0, with a range of -75 to 75. Large values in either direction will increase sound harmonics. And third harmonic comp will increase third harmonics. So I had to look up specifically what the harmonics are. And this is what we're talking about. This type of shit. They're talking about, I mean, there's an entire blurb here about energy use in the digital revolution and DSPs and respectively given the formula where the fifth harmonic components will be at 250 hertz. So what, it shut off already. What that basically is talking about is you can change the shape of the sound for the second and third, which second and third, let's see, first is 50. Second and third, fourth and fifth. Second and third, fourth and fifth. Fifth is, I think that's 100 hertz and 150 hertz. You can change the emphasis on those regions because those have the most to do with your liking a sound or not. Now, I fucked around with it a little bit. It comes with a default value of 0. Hold on, let me go back to the actual thing. It comes with a default value of 0 on second harmonic steps and a default value of -20 on third harmonic steps. So now we're talking about I trust the DAC. In fact, I'm going to put the head cam back on. Let me put it back to wide mode before you get... Oh, God. It feels good to have that back on. I've been messing with it, trying to go to the extremes. -75, +75, 0, -20, just adjusting it slightly. And there is the slightest change in my perceived sound of what's happening. But it isn't like a bass boost. It's not like you turn on IFI bass boost and all of a sudden bass is boosted. That's not what we're talking about here. We're not adjusting a boost. We're adjusting the actual harmonic shape of the sound through the DSP. That's bizarro stormy, regular stormy. And I don't think every headphone or every output, because we can, hold on, let me lower that for a second, put that back on SPDIF. One of the things I keep doing is I keep coming back here to hit the button, and they're right next to each other. And they really should have put something between the turn the whole unit off and switch to the... All cops are bastards. That's a 30-second song, so I'm imagining copyright claims will happen in like 1 second. There you go, Berserk Arc. So sometimes I'll reach back here just really quick, and I won't, like this, it's here or here. There, and I can hit both with one finger. You're just too close. They should have put one on the other side of the fiber optic if they really wanted to be like, make sure you don't accidentally hit this. But they're right next to each other, and I've turned the unit off, which is, I did it already, which is that slight delay. Like you press it, it's like, oh, did I press it? Click. Oh, I did press it. And you turn the unit on, and the light comes on, and then the screen goes JDS, and then it's back on. It's not a huge issue. It's just that I think once you've been using this on your desk, because I'm using it as a reviewer, that means I've used it for 4 days for, 30 minutes the first day, and then maybe a half hour, and then I set it and didn't touch it the third day, and now today it's just like, fuck. So now headphone outputs. Yeah, please buy these on drop when they're $400 off, $401 off. And don't forget to buy the pads, because pads make the biggest difference in a headphone. That's what my little rant about the goddamn, those are a no on the hems. Those will be a yes on something, but not the hems. These are actually not terrible. I was considering switching to those just to have something different come out of them, but I really love the sound of them stock. These pads for the 8XX, I think are a requirement. I tried to talk drop into actually including them in their new drop, and they just couldn't get the timing done. So if you want to have the Zeos sound, fenestrated. So back to the JDS Element 3 while we continue along. Oh, fucking this. See, I'm at negative 1/2 decibel. I'm at 0 decibels. This is as loud as I can take it without switching to high gain. And that's like, I know if I keep turning it, it's going to be like, oh, nothing's happening. And then we click over. And then I'm going to be like, well, do I need it in high gain? Because the next song is going to blow me up. This is, still in... Talking about the harmonics, second and third harmonics. there is something that happens. And I don't think every headphone benefits from you fucking around with it. But I don't think there's like a negative connotation to like, well, they shouldn't even give you that option. Give me the options. One of my favorite units that I've ever reviewed, ever, was the Army ADI2, which was like a $1,300 at the time German DAC with an amp. Also wasn't a balanced amp. Good company. And that gave you full DSP correction where you could adjust a curve. So instead of like a bass boost or whole harmonic numbers, which actually this probably does that and that didn't, that thing could just completely create new shapes for sound. Like, just here you go. Here's everything you'd ever need to control with these fucking magic knobs. So give me the options. I don't have to use them. You don't have to use them. If you find them offensive as an audiophile, they even exist, well, that's your fucking problem. Deal with it. But that is thinking like, okay, what did they improve? Because it looks exactly the same as a little screen. Okay, there's a screen. Okay, it's a digital volume up now, so you can't have channel imbalance ever. Okay, what else are we adding? Something called SPDIF De-emphasis. Oh, we have DPLL adjustments. Oh, we could adjust the encoder thing on the knob. Oh, we could actually adjust the second and third order fucking frequency compensation. I forget what comp is, if it's compensation or compression. It's one of those two things. I was talking to DMS about it. And whatever I said it was, it wasn't. And when he said it was, it was. And they don't say it in the manual. So it's comp could either mean compression or compensation or competition or component video. I don't know. I just realized how dusty the top of my triangle. What? No, you're the LN01A. You're dusty. I need to go over there and dust those. I'm desperately seeking Susan. I'm desperately deciding if I want to just bring this up to my desk. And I have yet another amplifier up there that only has 1/4 inch. It's the weirdest shit. I have this life, right? All this here. And my desk upstairs has the SMSL VMVA1, which is the 10-watt speaker amp that happens to have a 1/4 inch output. And I would have this. I have the own X1S GT up there, so that's got a 4.4. Nothing's got a full size 4-pin XLR. So I mean, I listen to those. I listen to these. I'm doing this. Lower this, by the way, because as much as I'm like, it's not super powerful. I had it where I plugged in the wrong headphone. I had just done the 880s, and then I decided to plug something else in, and I didn't remember. And I saw a 10. Here's another thing you have to concern yourself with. Currently, it says 63. Usually, I'm up here near like the, -15 to 0. But if you go past 0, now it says 0, 15. And you have to notice either that there's no negative next to the numbers or that it says at high gain because, ooh, baby. So touch the cow, spin it round. Don't blow up your headphones. Just because, fuck it. Oh. Why did the screen go off? Oh, did I short it out just now? I don't remember shutting it off. Yeah, these get loud at -10, so you don't want to figure that out. That's +10. Yes, this is a Yes amp DAC combo. I did that combo video at the end of last year where I gathered them all up. And if this were there, this would have shined one of the brightest. So it's not balanced. I know it's going to turn off half the people watching this. These adapters exist. One of the reasons balance is a thing is a little bit more power. You get a little more power if they're running 2 amplifiers into your headphones. But it also helps with noise floor and separation. Well, what happens if you have perfect noise floor and you don't really need to add any more separation because it's good? Well, then you can just go 1/4 inch. In the future, at some point, I would love to see it come from them. But for right the fuck now... Wait, I paused the music instead of just switching to USB. Dixie Chicks. Why do I have a Dixie Chicks songs? I have a Dixie Chicks song. I apologize. I'm sure there's going to be Dixie Chicks fanboys come out of woodwork right now. Here's the thing, though. when you're using elites on this, you could love the Dixie Chicks. Whether you will love the Dixie Chicks.
She traveled this road as a child.
I will not line dance to the Dixie Chicks. All right. I've pretty much gushed over this thing. The only thing I think you're going to want to play with, the de-emphasis stuff, like that sort of stuff, the DPLL is sort of like a set and forget. You set them once and you don't worry about it. The second and third order harmonic stuff might, if you find a headphone that does a thing that you don't really like and you're not sure if it's going to be there forever, fuck around with those settings. I love, it's free. It's like people buy those stupid mobile games. I keep getting the same mobile game thing where the guy's like, oh, and he pulls like a sword and the lava comes down. I hate those ads. Like, if I'm going to waste my time dicking with something, I'd rather it be specifically the number in a range of 151 settings on both the second and third harmonics levels on my JDS Element 3. I'm going to find that -47 and +3 on this particular headphone is perfect. Am I going to do that? Probably not. I'll probably put it back to default 0 and -20 and just leave it there forever and ever and ever. Because I love the way this thing sounds. So now I have to take it and figure out where it's going to live. It's been sitting here and I've been testing other headphones with it. I'm running out of headphones to test those. So eventually it's going to have to find a better home than just on my shelf. I like it too much to just live on my shelf. I want to use it. Maybe I'll make another third rack that's just DAC amp combos. Feed them all with fiber optic. Have it go. All right, I'm done. Do you guys want this? If you want it, don't tell me. Tell the link in the description. Tell the men over in... Where is JDSlabs located? We had a good time together. Let's see. JDSlabs, you guys are located... Why is everything black? Collinsville, Illinois. Which means they'll probably be at Axpona. And I might go to Axpona. I've had the COVIDs already. I've got my shots and boosters. Getting on a plane is not my greatest, joy. But I've never been to Chicago. And fuck you, I want deep dish pizza. Because Uno's was the best deep dish pizza I'd had. And I'm not going to let Uno's be the best deep dish pizza I've ever had. So maybe I'll see you at Axpona. And maybe I'll see them at Axpona. I'm sure they'll be there. And if they're not, they fucking should be. Anyway, I'm done. This linked in the description. That linked in the description. All these, including the 8XX, which $401 off for Zeos people. I think I'm the only one that's getting the actual, like there isn't a special link, but I'm the only one talking about it. So from the 14th to the 20th, you're a patron and you're watching this, which I kind of hope my patrons watch the whole thing. That's why I shove it at the beginning. There's no one actually back here. We can just talk about anything we want. What animes have you seen? You looking forward to Reader of Healer Season 2? So am I, if it ever comes out. It'd be a miracle. Interspecies reviewers, more than that. Oh, and Call Me Son was amazing. Yeah, links. Patreon, subscribe, start, see reviews early, participate in yard sales, access to the Sound Demo Oasis. $10 a month gets you in the behind-the-scenes private Telegram chat where those people know exactly what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, because why wait? And if you want to know my opinion, I'll give it to you. And you want to ask me questions, I'll answer them. Because you're paying to be there. I have to prioritize the people who are trying to pay for my propane, my new driveway estimate $25,620. And I'm like, let me get another estimate, buddy. Oh, please, God. So that's why I may also do sponsorships on this channel, because apparently other people who are much smaller than me are getting a lot of money to talk about smart water and shit. Like, what's that, Ridge Wallet? Should I do a Ridge Wallet ad without actually being paid for it and then ask them to pay me for it? Would that work? Because I could review anything at that point, and it's like demand they pay me. Like a man who came to my house the other day, little quick story at the end of this video. No one will know about it. Man came to my house yesterday, day before yesterday, pulled up, came up with a giant picture frame. He handed it to me in the doorway and said, hey, I took this picture of your house back in August with my drone, and I printed it out, and I will sell it to you. And I kept like, hey, how much? Like, okay, look, I'm glad you took a picture of my property without my permission and put it in it was a really nice picture frame. But what? And he's like, $375. And I was like, go away. I could take a picture with my drone and go to Costco and print it out and put it in a shitty picture frame, and it would cost me like $19. So I don't want to be that salesman dude ever. That salesman dude represents everything that I don't like. He was so insistent. He wasn't even nice about it. He literally talked to me like he had a place to be. Like, yeah, the next asshole who took a picture of his house without his permission. What if I was taking a leak off my back deck with my dick hanging out? And what are you doing? Sorry, I had to rage about that a little bit. I actually have the whole thing on security footage. In case, if you're a close friend of mine, you've seen it already. And you hear me insult the dude, but like, I can't waste my money on this. It was kind of harsh, but at the same time, don't take pictures of other people's houses. He was definitely above the street. He wasn't like on my property. But fuck, that's weird, right? Like it wasn't even like put in a spot where it'd be like artistic or during like sunset. It was just drone shot of house, drone shot of house, like paint it or something, or tell me you want to do it. Tell me you're an artist. Come to my house and ask me beforehand. I wouldn't mind a picture of my house, like beautifully set, maybe with a little bit of artistic flair, some photoshopping. The fucking edges of the picture were like blurry from being a 4K, super wide angle drone picture. Like there was he was like, you can't get pictures like this with your drone. I'm like, bitch, you want to bet? I do AI upscaling and all my anime waifus. I can do it. Wow, we got off on a real weird tangent at the end of this. Maybe I'll just complain. By the way, second channel, which was the Sound Emma channel, is now a second channel. And I might do all sorts of things. Anime reviews. I'm going to talk about waifu figures. I do cooking videos on a cooking channel, but I really do those on my live streams. Anyway, sorry to make the video length longer, which makes people automatically go, fuck. He was going to be 36 minutes. Now he's 43 minutes. And that's because I had to complain. Anyway, done. Hi-Fi Guides forum. Thank you to Deconi for sponsoring Hi-Fi Guides for this month. I think they paid for 3 months. So at some point I will just stop, or they will have already paid for it. I don't know. We're good. I love getting their pads. I just hope I can find things that their pads work on. Because right now, just the velours are like perfect, and those are like no. Those were the most no I've had in a while, and I'm done. Thank you for JDSlabs for sending this out. Let me abuse their review with this, and don't forget there's no affiliate links for JDSlabs, so if you buy any, all I get is their thanks. So don't forget to patronize this channel, please. I don't want to have to charge companies to do like reviews, but I make $0 unless you buy something else, like this adapter from Yukumu. Buy that thing on Amazon.